Okay, now time for Editor's Cut. And Alex, you will have me and Tamanna as your co-hosts today, but two important topics.
Absolutely. And, I love the conversation that you had earlier, several of them actually, but then most importantly, what you were saying about yoga and the importance of yoga in our lives. I must confess that I know people who practice this much more than I do, but whenever I have tried it, there has been some benefit. Have you tried cat-cow and camel pose and sun salutation and all of the other things that we're talking about?
I've tried the easier ones, I must say. The difficult ones, which require a lot of core strength and balance, they escape me sometimes.
Yeah, okay, all right. So, but let's get to the crux of the issue. And there are two aspects that we're discussing today. One has to do, of course, with the fertilizer stocks, but the other has to do with what the IT stocks will do in trade today, and that is on the back of what Accenture said yesterday. Of course, as Neeraj pointed out on the show, and Tamanna also, that Accenture was up 7% yesterday. But perhaps you should not read too much into that, because the guidance does not look too good. Narrowing of the guidance, guys, what does that mean for IT companies?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, so just the news, just to put numbers there, the full year revenue growth, and remember they follow an odd September to August year, but the full year revenue growth in the range of 1.5 to 2.5% versus earlier 1 to 3%. So the lower end has been hiked, upper end has been brought down, tighter, and you expect that as you come close to the year. But what actually happened other than that, and because of which I think the stock went up, was that Accenture said that it had more than $900 million in generative AI bookings. I think this was the key thing, and which is why the stock went up. Now, what are the key takeaways from all that Accenture has said? One, that discretionary spends continue to remain under pressure. And that is what the larger impact on Indian IT is, because Indian IT hasn't quite reached generative AI bookings the way Accenture has. There is commentary, there aren't that many kind of bookings happening in Indian IT per se, to the tune that Accenture has managed to do it. So discretionary IT spends under pressure, limited change in demand environment. The first point that you can take away from Accenture's commentary. Financial services and CMT vertical under pressure in key markets. And therefore, the whole barrage of stocks like a Tech Mahindra,
BFSI, the ones that are focused on BFSI.
Exactly. So you think of Wipro, you think of a Tech Mahindra, you think of possibly even a TCS, all of these come under pressure, right, in that sense. So that is part two. And part three, like we said, it's traction on Gen AI. So if you show the right product and the right capabilities, then maybe Gen AI spends are happening. Now, it may not happen on the large cap IT names. Clearly, they aren't as nimble, with reason maybe because there is legacy business to take care of. But as Sandeep Kalra and Sanjay Jalona told us in that show to us, that maybe the newer and the smaller companies and product companies which are actually developing some AI-based products might actually find bookings. So maybe, just maybe, guys, in the commentary that comes at the end of Q1, we might hear about Gen AI from some of the smaller companies, which might have a larger impact on their overall numbers, and those stocks might actually be okay.
So just to add to that part, Neeraj, at least from what the commentary has been thus far, and of course we'll wait for what they say in their numbers, the Indian IT majors are utilizing AI as an add-on to their existing services and clients, rather than coming up with something brand new. And that, I don't know how far it will get you in such a competitive thing. And if you look at what Nomura is saying today, they're saying reduce TCS, Wipro, LTI, Mindtree, LTTS, and Emphasis on the back of this. They have a buy on Cognizant, TechM, Coforge, Birlasoft, and eClerx.
That's interesting.
So to the point that the smaller ones who are more nimble could move ahead. But I mean, what's to say that the giants who are really entrenched are not going to come up with a surprise? So that's going to be exciting to see.
Hopefully they do.
They would have, so the question is not about when they will have to turn, but it's like a truck turning versus a car turning, right? How long does it, or a ship turning? It taktakes much longer.
As that series, I'm forgetting the name, Succession said, right? I'm in the middle of turning a XXX tanker.
Okay.
But just one quick point, sorry. Just lastly, the valuations.
I was going to come to that.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
So, but then this is not something that is different, Neeraj. The point, it's not different from what people have been saying for the last several months, is that large cap IT don't look at as closely as you should be looking at the mid cap and the small cap companies, and that is reflective in the valuation.
Yeah, because Nifty IT valuations, weightage of large cap IT very high, 26 to 28 times. Premium to Nifty, premium to averages. Why preempt until they show something and then you out and buy it? It's okay to buy it 5% higher if they show the traction.
Okay, so that's the point on IT, but there's also a group of stocks has been doing incredibly well, and that is, of course, the fertilizer pack. And there are several theories about why these companies are rallying very suddenly. Of course, we have news about the MSP, but there's also buzz about GST. What's going on, Tamanna?
So the reason that there is buzz about GST is that the Fitment Committee has actually recommended that you rationalize GST on fertilizers. But now the buzz in the market and what the stocks have been running up on, Alex, is that fertilizers will be completely exempt from GST.
Right.
That is a bit of a stretch because the same Fitment Committee says that if you do that, you will mess up the inverted duty structure. So that is one. The second is, of course, MSP. Remember, the MSP hike is not that much. It's quite decent compared to what could have been expected or could have been seen as a populist move. But nevertheless, you're putting 2 lakh crore rupees in the hands of farmers. You are incentivizing them to go and produce the crops on which MSP have hiked, and they will need fertilizers to do it. So it's fairly, 2 plus 2 is 4 in that sense. The question is that the kind of run-up, is it justified? And in fact, we have Pratik Tholiya joining us now. He's Senior VP Institutional Equity Research at Systematix Group on this very topic. Pratik, very good morning and great to have you on Editor's Cut today. And let's talk about all things fertilizers. The kind of run-up we've seen in the last 3 or 4 days. Reasons being ascribed are the GST meet, which will take place on Saturday, maybe the MSP hike, perhaps more to come in the budget. Keen to know what your reading is.
Yeah, hi, good morning. So yeah, broadly, we are also hearing similar things. So I think the whole sector, the run-up that you've seen over the last 2 days is, of course, like you just mentioned on GST. But again, that would be a little far-fetched because 5% GST, from farmer perspective, it's not going to make too much of an impact on the way he buys fertilizers. It's anyway is pretty subsidized. So, but that is the chatter that's happening on the street. And of course, I think on the subsidy bit also, with the upcoming budget, we are expecting the subsidies to improve. So they had cut the subsidies in the interim budget, but that was not what it should have been because the costs have started to move up. The prices of key raw materials have started to go up. So to that extent, I think the government will adjust for subsidies as well. And therefore, the profitability should now improve. And that's also one of the reasons why stocks would have started to move up. Of course, MSP has been, while you did mention that, it has been not that high, not very populistic hike. But again, if you see, typically after the election, the next year, immediately after the election, the hike has been in the 3 to 4% range. So this time, I think the average hike is 5 to 6. So to that extent, I think it's very encouraging. Of course, on monsoon also, if you see monsoon, the whole buzz around monsoon is that it will have a La Nina sort of a year and we'll have much better rainfall. So if you talk to the farmers at the ground level, the sentiment is very positive. At the ground level, farmers are willing to buy more with a higher MSP. They are assured of a good, recovery of their cost. Plus, even during the elections, we've seen a lot of populistic measures. There are a lot of cash rollouts. There are a lot of things done at the farmer level. So they are already flush with good amount of cash. Plus the crop the Rabi crop which was sold, that was also sold at a price higher than MSP, especially wheat. So farmer has decent amount of cash flow with him, a good monsoon, a higher MSP, and all of those things, which means that the demand for fertilizers will be very strong this year. We are expecting a very strong volume growth. Of course, last year was also weak, so on the back of that, also we are expecting a very strong volume growth. The buzz is, in fact, at the retailer level, the dealer level, is that we might actually have a inventory sellout. So whatever inventory is available today, we'll have actually that gets sold out by July. And then we'll have to have a lot of imports also might have to happen. The companies will operate at a much higher capacity utilizations. So I think net everything is looking very positive right now.
So Pratik, if you have a buzz of an inventory sellout by July that companies might have to actually import, what is then the margin outlook for a segment which is quite subsidized and has a lot of focus from government on what prices are being demanded from farmers? And secondly, does it justify the kind of run-up we've seen? Do you see more of that run-up in this segment of stocks?
Yeah, so from margin standpoint, I think margins were pretty weak last year. The subsidies were lower. So like I said, we are expecting a better subsidy payouts this time around. So margins should be better off versus what we've seen last year. Of course, in urea, the margins are pretty much stable. So there's not much of an impact over there. What we are margin when we talk about it's mostly on the complex fertilizer space. And over there, the margins are likely to be better. Also, last year we had a lower production also, so capacity utilizations were also weak. So you'll have operating leverage also coming in this year if everybody is operating full out. So margins should be much better than what we've seen in the previous year, especially for the complex guys. And sorry, I forgot the second question you were asking on the valuations. Yeah, so
Pratik, very simple question. Or bhagenge fertilizer stock?
Yes, absolutely. I think so. What is that right now? The valuations are catching up with their prehistoric levels. I mean, what we've seen in the good monsoon years, but the earnings growth has not yet been factored in by most of the analysts. So when we're talking about total sellout of inventory, we are talking about a steep earnings improvement also coming over here. So we expect better earnings growth, and so the valuations will remain higher at least for this season for the fertilizer space.
Hey Pratik, so quick question on your picks and what you like in the space, because we've seen stocks, RCF run up 35%, NFL up 35% also, Chambal up 31%, Deepak up 21%. Have any of your targets been hit, or have you revised them upwards? What are your buy calls?
So we have buy on Coromandel and Chambal. Both have actually run up quite significantly in the past few weeks. So we have to now, so the valuations are now pretty stretched, like I said, but we still have to factor in the earnings growth. So what we start the year with a moderate sort of growth, considering that we'll have a decent sort of monsoon, but this year it's looking pretty good. So we are we are in the process of upgrading our volume numbers higher, and also therefore the margins and subsequently the earnings growth.
But if you are in the process of upgrading those volume numbers, is there a range that you think that it could come, go up by?
Yeah, so typically for fertilizers, volumes, if you see in a average year, we factor in a 3 to 4% sort of a growth. But this year we are expecting a sellout, so we will have a high single digit sort of volume number. So somewhere around 8-9% volume growth we are expecting.
Pratik, wanted to check how you're seeing the input costs for fertilizers. Have they relatively eased off? What is the outlook there?
So input costs had moderated in the fourth quarter, but now we are seeing ammonia prices have started to move up. Urea also we're expecting there are some shutdowns in China. Brazil also the consumption has been good, so we are not expecting a surplus sort of urea in the market. So prices of urea should also move up. Similar is the case with some of the other complex fertilizers. So we are expecting that prices could firm up, and of course globally also most of the producers are always dependent on India because we are one of the largest importers of fertilizer. So when the Indian market starts purchasing, then the prices start typically going up. So third and fourth quarter is a leaner periods for us. That's when the prices also cool down, and the first and second quarters when we are and this year because of good monsoon also we'll be consuming more fertilizer. So we are expecting the raw material prices to actually inch up.
Pratik, one final question from my end. What is the risk to this? What is the key risk to this rally? What will make you change your optimism? Monsoon, that's the only thing. Okay. So if the monsoon is good, then Pratik, Systematix would remain constructive, I presume, on fertilizers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. Good to know that. Okay.
All right. So there you go. We did a social piece right at the start, before the start of the monsoon. explaining what the little boy and the little girl means, La Nina and El Nino. And this time, I think this season is for La Nina to be up front and
you
benefiting
still have
India.
a deficit as of now.
But that will pick up.
But that will pick up, and also how that monsoon is,
the spatial distribution
is spaced out is important. But anyway, let's hope for the best and bounty from the rain gods.
Absolutely.